Hey everyone, I'm Jason, and this is your commentary on Numbers chapter 33, broken down into two main sections. The first one, Moses recaps the 42 places where they stopped off from when they left Egypt up to the Jordan River just outside of Jericho. The second section is how God has decided that they're going to distribute the land once they get into it through the casting of lots. Here are the places where the Israelites camped during their journey. When they came out of Egypt, they marched in groups like an army. Moses and Aaron led them. The Lord commanded Moses to record their journey. Here are the places where they camped. The Israelites started out from Ramses on the 15th day of the first month. It was the day after the Passover feast. They marched out boldly in plain sight of all the Egyptians. The Egyptians were bearing all their oldest sons. The Lord had struck them down. He had done it when he punished their gods. The Israelites left Ramses and camped at Succoth. They left Succoth and camped at Etham. Etham was on the edge of the desert. They left Etham and turned back to Pi Hahiroth. It was east of Baal-zephon. They camped near Migdol. They left Pi Hahiroth, then they passed through the Red Sea into the desert. They traveled for 3 days in the desert of Etham. Then they camped at Marah. They left Marah and went to Elim. 12 springs and 70 palm trees were there, so they camped at Elim. They left Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They left the Red Sea and camped in the desert of Sin. They left the desert of Sin and camped at Dophkah. They left Dophkah and camped at Elush. They left Elush and camped at Rephidim, but there was no water there for the people to drink. They left Rephidim and camped in the desert of Sinai. They left the desert of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hattaavah. They left Kibroth Hattaavah and camped at Hazeroth. They left Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. They left Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Perez. They left Rimmon Perez and camped at Libnah. They left Libnah and camped at Rizah. They left Rizah and camped at Kehelathah. They left Kehelathah and camped at Mount Shepher. They left Mount Shepher and camped at Heradah. They left Heradah and camped at Machelath. They left Machelath and camped at Tahath. They left Tahath and camped at Terah. They left Terah and camped at Mithkah. They left Mithkah and camped at Hashmanah. They left Hashmanah and camped at Moseroth. They left Moseroth and camped at Ben-Jachin. They left at Ben-Jachin and camped at Hor-Haggidgad. They left Hor-Haggidgad and camped at Jotbatha. They left Jotbatha and camped at Abrona. They left Abrona and camped at Ezion-Geber. They left Ezion-Geber and camped at Kadesh. Kadesh was in the desert of Zin. They left Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor. It was on the border of Edom. Aaron the priest went up Mount Hor when the Lord commanded him to. That's where he died. It happened on the first day of the 5th month. It was the 40th year after the Israelites came out of Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died on Mount Hor. The Canaanite king of Arad lived in the Negev desert in Canaan. He heard that the Israelites were coming. They left Mount Hor and camped at Zolmanah. They left Zolmanah and camped at Punon. They left Punon and camped at Oboth. They left Oboth and camped at Iye-Abarim. It was on the border of Moab. They left Iye-Abarim and camped at Dibon-Gad. They left Dibon-Gad and camped at Almon-Diblathim. They left Almon-Diblathim and camped in the mountains of Abarim near Nebo. They left the mountains of Abarim and camped on the plains of Moab. That area was by the Jordan River across from Jericho. They camped there along the Jordan River from Beth Jeshimoth to Abel Shittim. So 42 different locations. 14 were within the first year, 8 were in the very last year. So out of the 40 years there, it was about 1 every 2 years that they'd be traveling to a new location. A lot of these places are hard for us to identify today. That's not a big deal, mostly because it was thousands of years ago, and it was done by Israel in a nomadic state. So it's not like they stayed and they built fortresses and cities and roads. There is not much archaeologically in order to find. Several of these places can be identified today, but the rest of them we're not entirely positive about. What makes it even more difficult is the names of these locations have changed over time as different people groups have come in. So we can't even take it just by the name alone. This is important that there's 42 here, even if we can't identify it. We've said it in previous videos. It's not the specific names that are as important as the fact that they are written down. This means that this is a historical document. It's true. Whether we know all the individual locations or not, it doesn't matter the individual names. The fact that at that point in time, everybody around Moses would know exactly where he was talking about means that we can trust the validity of Scripture. On the plains of Moab, the Lord spoke to Moses. He spoke to him by the Jordan River across from Jericho. The Lord said, "Speak to the Israelites. Tell them, go across the Jordan River into Canaan. Drive out all those living in the land. The statues of their gods are made out of stone and metal. Destroy all those statues, and destroy all the high places where they are worshipped. Take the land as your own. Make your homes in it. I've given it to you. Cast lots when you divide up the land. Do it based on the number of people in each tribe and family. Give a larger share to a larger group, and give a smaller group a smaller share. The share they receive by casting lots will belong to them. Give out the shares based on the number of people in Israel's tribes. But suppose you do not drive out the people living in the land. Then those you allow to remain will become like needles in your eyes. They will become like thorns in your sides. They will give you trouble in the land where you live. Then I will do to you what I plan to do to them." God's given them the warning. He says, this is your land. Go in. Take it. But take it fully. He says, drive them out, those who are currently living there. Because if you let them live, they're going to lead you astray. And unfortunately, this is exactly what we see happen. Next, we're going to have the book of Deuteronomy, and then Joshua. Joshua takes over from Moses, leads them into the promised land. Before the time when they have their own king, though, there's a period of time when the Israelites are coexisting, kind of, with the Canaanites and the Philistines, and they're going to lead the Israelites astray. They're also going to put hardships on them. And so you have the entire book of Judges where God's bringing up an individual to kind of bring the Israelites back to him. If the people had done what they were told to up front, you wouldn't have that negative impact from the Philistines, from the Canaanites, from the people in the land. They wouldn't be there to lead Israel astray in the first place. Sometimes it's better just to obey God, even if we don't fully understand why. That's it for our commentary on Numbers chapter 33. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.